Hey everyone, this is Matthew Movies coming at you again, and this time I'm going to be talking about the weekend wrestling. I get just a bullet point list of things I want to take a quick look at and give you my thoughts. Hell in a Cell's coming up this weekend, and I am not overly excited for this pay-per-view at all. I think it's going to suck, to be honest with you. The matches may be okay, but the storyline progression I think is going to be terrible. I hate the fact that there's 3 Cell matches. I think it's ludicrous. Completely destroys the point of the match to begin with. I've disliked the idea that they have it as like a destination pay-per-view for a long time now, because a lot of the time they put matches in there that really don't necessitate the Cell, and it really muddies the gimmick, and it makes it so that you don't see it in instances where it could have worked really well. I really don't like the build to the Cell matches. I think the Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens match will probably be solid, and they have a pretty good feud going, but I don't see any point in them being in the Cell. Rusev and Reigns, it's not like you're seeing like a lot of outside interference, or it's not like it's gotten into like this vicious place where it makes any sense. And I really, really dislike the way they're building to the women's match in there, where it's such an honor for them to be in the Hell in a Cell. It kind of completely, again, if having it be just throw it in there because it's that time of year is bad, having people feel honored to be in there is even worse. Like, the whole point of it is supposed to be this punishing match that is like the last resort for the people that can't figure things out for themselves. The list of Jericho was all over Monday Night Raw. And in the past, I've loved the list of Jericho, but I didn't really love this storyline all that much. I mean, I liked seeing more and more of Jericho, because Jericho is obviously the man. I've loved Y2J since I was like in my teens, but I don't know. The whole stealing it thing. I've never liked those storylines. I don't like it when people steal the belt and the guy's chasing the belt all over the building. They always just seem nasty to me. Like, it's always the good guy stealing from the bad guy, and we're supposed to be like, oh, that good guy is getting a one-up over that guy. But I've never enjoyed it. I've always felt like it's like the good guy is taking the low road, and I've never enjoyed it. Sami Zayn, my God, this guy, I feel so sorry for him. I mean, he came up to Raw, and he was all piss and vinegar, and he seemed like he was on tap to be the man. Like, I never thought he was gonna be, a John Cena type necessarily anytime soon by any stretch of the imagination. But you thought he would be somebody who would be right up there in the upper mid card and be somebody that they gave a focus to, that he was he would be a player at the very least. But man, he has just been decimated since he's come up there. Like, he won that last match against Kevin Owens, and you gotta ask yourself why, and why they drafted him so early. I feel like they were just like, okay, well, let's give him a couple things so it looks like we're taking him seriously, so then we can ignore him for a while, because he was ignored. There was weeks where he wasn't even on the show, and then he comes back to feud with Braun Strowman, and he's getting thrown around like he's nothing. Like, I'm not a fan of this at all. I think the match itself on Sunday could be pretty good. I think that Sami Zayn could probably get a pretty good match out of Braun, but I just don't like the way they're using him. The Brock Lesnar segment, I thought that was really weird. There was reports that came out after the fact that apparently Vince McMahon was very upset by the crowd reaction, giving Lesnar cheers and booing Goldberg and chanting Goldberg sucks. And I don't know what he expected when he brings him out in Minnesota, his hometown, but they did not play it very well when it started happening, and then it just ended really abruptly, and I just stepped away from it wondering what was going on in that at all. The tag team division on both shows, I think, is just awful. The New Day is on fire like it has been for a long time. I mean, I'll be honest with you, personally, I've gotten pretty sick of their act. I think it's a very one note. I wish, at the beginning I thought it was hilarious and I loved them, but I don't know, they just do the same things too much, and that's probably just my personality. A lot of time when a wrestler starts doing the same thing for a very long time, it starts to wear on me. But you gotta give those guys credit. They're on fire, and you gotta give credit to Heath Slater and Rhino. Like, the resurgence the two of them are having is impressive, but there are some tag teams that you're just like, wow. Like, they're building up the Survivor Series tag team match, and it is a dismal group of tag teams that they have to draw from. I mean, Anderson and Gallows and American Alpha were both brought in onto the main roster in the last few months, and both of those guys, when they were like both those teams, I should say, when they joined, I was really excited to see what they were going to do with them. And my God, they've done a bad job. Like American Alpha, like you could easily forget they're even on there. They don't get any kind of focus. They don't get mentioned often. They haven't been built up. The crowd isn't buying into them anywhere close to the way they did in NXT. And people could sit there and try to pretend like it's the team's fault, but I don't think it is at all. I think it's this idea that they have that if they bring out somebody from NXT, that they're just going to be instantly as popular as they were in NXT, and they don't have to put any work into getting them to where they were, and that's just not the case. And man, those guys have charisma like coming out every orifice, and they should be on fire, and they are anything but. I will say the only other bright spot in the tag team division is, I know a lot of people hated them when they were around before, but I'm getting a kick out of seeing the Spirit Squad back. I mean, you gotta be happy for those guys. They worked really hard to get up to the main roster to begin with all those years ago, and then the storyline came to an end, and so did most of their careers. So to see two of the guys back and getting another moment in the sun, even if you're not a fan of the team or the concept, you gotta be happy for them. I mean, that's gotta be amazing after all of these years. And then probably for me, the worst thing on WWE TV is this Orton Wyatt feud that will not end, no matter how much I want it to, and how awful it is. I hate the mumbo jumbo stuff. I mean, back in the day when they used to do it with The Undertaker, it used to work. But man, they've gotten way too much into it over the years. And most of the time, a lot of the worst storylines in WWE history, a lot of them I could think of are when they get into this supernatural mumbo jumbo garbage. And I've hated this feud. And then this last week where Orton seemed to turn on Kane in favor of the Wyatts, like, I don't know where they're going. If they try to, I don't think that they're actually gonna like stay the course where it's gonna be Orton is gonna be a member of the Wyatt families or anything like that. I think it's just gonna be he's doing this to swerve them, but it also makes, like, if that is the case, he's just gonna be the jerk who took out his friend. And I just they gotta get those two away from each other. Like they need to repackage the Wyatt family and Bray Wyatt. They need to get away from all this supernatural crap. I mean, they could still keep, like, just be a cult leader. Like, he doesn't have to have supernatural powers. He could just like be pretending. I think they could have been doing so much better with that guy. Like when he came up, he had all the potential in the world, and they get too wrapped up in their abilities to make these effects and how cool they look, but they're just not effective. And you can tell by the reaction he gets. Like it's nothing compared to what it once was. James Ellsworth, I've loved seeing him in the position he's been in up until this last week. This last week, they really leaned on him to do a lot of acting, and I felt like his acting wasn't exactly up to par. But I mean, the guy's a wrestler, right? Like earlier in previous episodes, he would get emotional about being up there, and it came off as so sincere and so heartwarming to see what he was doing. And now they have him doing it, and it seems so put on and crap, because it probably is. Like this whole storyline where he cost Dean the world championship match, like garbage. As far as the women go, my MVP performer throughout all of the women's division on all three shows right now is Alexa Bliss. I think she is on fire. She's got her character down like nobody else does in the industry right now. Like you have Charlotte, who's playing a very similar character, but she seems like she's just like throwing out these lines, and she's all pomp and circumstance, whereas Alexa Bliss comes off as just a nasty little lady, you know what I mean? Like she seems like just like she's got her character figured out, and I'm absolutely loving it. I hated what they did with Natalya on SmackDown this last week, where one of the women on that division, which by the way, the fact that there's still only 6 women on the SmackDown roster is just sad, but one of the 6 couldn't be in there, so they took Natalya out. Like she's such a talented performer, and I wish they didn't have to consistently and in almost every case make her the butt of all the jokes. I just sucks. And then the final thing I want to touch on is how cool it is to see Mickie James is coming to NXT. Big fan of hers from back in the day, like a lot of people are. So I'm really excited to see her have another moment in the WWE spotlight. And I sincerely hope that they keep her around for more than just the one match. I think she could. I don't want to see her on the main roster. I mean, I don't think she should be somebody who has the focus of the entire company. But I think she could be a real asset to that NXT women's division with a lot of girls who are, or women I should say, who are, you know, just finding their characters and figuring out how to become what they need to be. And I think having someone like a Mickie James there with her level of skill and her hours upon hours of experience, I think could be extremely beneficial. So that's it for me. Those are the main points of the wrestling week that jumped out at me. So have a nice day.